It's about the people and things in a building. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's topic. My name is Francesco, and I'm grateful you're here. You could have been anywhere else. You could have chosen to spend your time doing anything else, and you're watching this video. This video today has it all. We will learn a new topic, and we will use our imagination. And we will do some examples. We will even have an inspirational message. In fact, let's start with that. For today's video, I would like to share these words with you. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Today is our first step into the world of the Ontario Building Code, and I'm glad to be taking it with you. Now, let's start with a thought exercise. So, imagine you have been tasked with designing and building two buildings in the same neighborhood downtown, wherever in your city in Ontario. When finished, both buildings will look very similar to each other. Heck, let's just say that they're going to look identical, okay? It's a thought exercise. The first one, you're told, is an apartment building, and it has been designed and built already to satisfy and even exceed all relevant building code requirements. You would be proud to live in any of the apartments in this building. Okay? All right, you're with me so far? We're using our imagination. Great. So about the second building, we know nothing about this second building other than it also has the same number of stories as the first building. It will also have the same color of bricks on the outside as the first building, and that it's going to be in the same neighborhood. But again, no one's told you anything about this unknown building. So, here's my silly question for you. Would you build this second mystery building exactly the same way as the first one was built? If you're not sure how to answer this, well, it's likely because you're missing one critical piece of information, right? What will the second building, this one right here, what will it be used for? Which is another way of asking, will this second building be used as an apartment building just like the first one? That is the correct question. What will it be used for? Is exactly what you should be asking yourselves in this instance. You cannot possibly say whether or not this second mystery building should be built exactly the same way as this first one unless you know what this second building will be used for. Will it be used as an apartment just like the first building? It doesn't matter that it looks the same, okay? I mean, who's to say that the second building isn't meant to be a fake building? Yes, that's right, I said it. Fake buildings, okay? The topic of fake buildings is a very interesting one, and if you want to learn more about this topic, I've placed some links for you in the description of this video below, okay? If the second building is going to be used as an apartment building, so if this building is meant to be used as an apartment building like this one, great. We've already done all the work for this building. We're just going to duplicate it for this because it's in the same city, same neighborhood. Okay? We just duplicate it. However, what if this second building is going to be used as a bowling alley instead? Would that change things? What if this second building is going to be used as a hospital, or a dry cleaning establishment, or a monastery? Would that change things? Yes, of course it would. But it is this question here, what will it be used for, that sets the tone for this topic. In fact, the proper way of saying this question using building code terminology is, what is this building's occupancy? You see, in this course, in the upcoming videos, you will learn how specific building occupancies have specific requirements for everything from the width of corridors and doors, to the width of stairs, to the number of toilets, sinks, and urinals. For example, the minimum width of a corridor in a hospital is much different than the minimum width of a corridor in a library, right? So let's learn together how to determine what a building will be used for. Or, more appropriately, let's learn how to determine the major occupancy of a building. Let's be a bit more specific and detailed about what the Ontario Building Code means by occupancy, or more clearly, major occupancy. Luckily for us, the Ontario Building Code has a whole portion of it that's dedicated to providing definitions. That's true. Let me show you. Follow me to Volume 1, Division A, Article 1.4.1.2. As you can see, here you will find all the words that are formally defined within the Ontario Building Code. They're in alphabetical order, as you can see. And for the purposes of today's topic, we are going to find the word occupancy. That way, we can know exactly what the Ontario Building Code means by this word, occupancy. Now, while I'm flipping through the Ontario Building Code to find occupancy, I want to share a helpful tip, if I could. Whenever you find a word that's italicized, that is, it's at an angle written in the Ontario Building Code, it means that that word is actually defined right here in Division A of the Ontario Building Code, okay, under Article 1.4.1.2. See for yourself, okay? Oh, okay. Looks like I've found the definition for occupancy, so let me read it out loud for you. The use or intended use of a building or part of a building for the shelter or support of persons, animals, or property. So, if I can interpret this definition, occupancy is the Ontario Building Code's word to describe the people that will be using a building and what will be in the building to help those people use the building as it's meant to be used. Does that make any kind of sense? Okay, so occupancy basically is about people and things, okay? Luckily for us, the Ontario Building Code has come up with a convenient way to identify the occupancy of a building. So basically, the OBC has already organized all relevant occupancies in 6 groups, which are called major occupancies. So all the occupancies you can think of, the Ontario Building Code came up with 6 groups, and each group is called major occupancy. These occupancies are lettered A through F, and they are specifically assembly occupancy, care and treatment or detention uses, residential occupancies, business and personal services, mercantile occupancies, and industrial occupancies. Did you notice how the name of each one of these major occupancies is italicized? That is, it's written at an angle? Okay? As I explained a few moments ago, that means that each and every one of these words is specifically defined by the Ontario Building Code under Division A, Article 1.4.1.2. So go check this out right now. Now, I want to show you all the places where to find this information in the Ontario Building Code related to major occupancies. You know, like the names of these major occupancies. As you can see, the major occupancies, again, are grouped into 6 groups, and they're labeled, again, with the letters A, B, C, D, E, and F. One of the places where you will find the groups of major occupancies is in Table 3.1.2.1 under Division B. Once you get there, you will notice that each group is furthermore divided into divisions. Okay, so for example, Group A assembly breaks down into Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and Division 4. Group B breaks down into 3 divisions, for example, and Group F, industrial occupancies, breaks down into 3 divisions. Please check out this table, table 3.1.2.1, to see this for yourself. Do it now, and I don't mind if you pause me because I'll still be here when you unpause me. Now, in addition to table 3.1.2.1 under division B, where else can we find the groups and divisions to classify major occupancies of a building? I'm going to give you 2 more locations in the Ontario Building Code, and then I will tell you exactly which of these total 3 references, which one of these you must use in your test and final exams to avoid a 0. Now I'm going to clean up the screen a little bit. So first, the reference that we just looked at was table 3.1.2.1 under division B. The next location where you can find this information, and we're actually already familiar with this, is under division A, article 1.4.1.2, major occupancies, right? The definition for major occupancy. That's where these definitions are listed, word for word. Just look up major occupancy. The third location, and my personal favorite, is in Volume 2 of the Ontario Building Code Compendium in Appendix A. It's under sentence A-3.1.2.1.1, right here. Okay? As promised, also, I'm now going to reveal to you, my dear students, which of these 3 references you must include in your solutions for your test and final exam to ensure you don't get a 0. And you have to include these references to tell me where you got the information to help you identify major occupancies. Are you ready? You must use these 2 references. Okay? Table 3.1.2.1 under Division B, and sentence A-3.1.2.1.1 under Appendix A. Those are the 2 references you must quote whenever you identify a major occupancy in your solutions to your test and final exams. Now let me explain. Remember that you're enrolled in an introductory course of the Ontario Building Code, and as such, I want you to develop the good habits to become awesome at using the Ontario Building Code. So that means that for now, for the purpose of this course, you have to use Appendix A as part of your journey to identify major occupancy. And do you know why it is so important that you include Appendix A as a reference? Because if you only use the table, this table here, or this reference here, you might miss out or mislabel occupancies because there are some occupancies that may fall under more than one major occupancy. Don't worry. Don't worry. I have recorded a couple of videos for you with examples of how to find the major occupancy of a building. Okay, so don't worry, they're there. They're going to be linked for you in the description of the video below. And if you're a student in this course, these videos are part of the solution to your homework number 1. Which brings me to, my dear students, you're now ready to try out question 1 from homework set number 1. Okay? Now, let's do a simple example, okay, just to warm up on how to find a major occupancy of a building. We have this tall building right here, super pretty, fancy, right? And we're told that it's an office building. Let's see if we can find the major occupancy for this building. That's the purpose of this example. I will use these 2 references from the Ontario Building Code right here, table 3.1.2.1 from Division B, and sentence A-3.1.2.11 under Appendix A. I recommend that you start with Appendix A first. You want to read all the possible examples of buildings under Appendix A, starting with Group A Division 1. And you keep reading all of them, for all the other groups and divisions until you get to the end of Group F Division B. If I do this, I find that office is under Group D. Office also only appears once, and it only appears once under Group D. So, we can say that this building, right here, is a Group D major occupancy, or D for short. That's exactly how you would say it. Now, from table 3.1.2.1 under Division B, we find that Group D occupancies are also labeled as building and personal services occupancies. That's the name of that occupancy, of that major occupancy. So, if I were to write the answer to this example, what is the major occupancy of this building? If I were to write the answer to that, it would be that this building has a major occupancy of D. And then I would also note what the references are from the building code that I used to obtain my answer, which are Appendix A and the table here. Okay, I have to spell that out for the purposes of our course, right? The whole point of this course is that you demonstrate to me where you got the information. Okay? I hope this makes sense. And again, for our course, because it's an introductory course, you always want to justify how you obtained your answer and how you did it. And the way that you justify that is to reference the exact location or the exact locations where you obtained the information from in the Ontario Building Code. Again, you are now ready to try out question 1 in homework 1 in the set from our course notes, okay? How about we do one more example? Maybe an example, we'll call it number 2. This time, maybe we'll have more than one major occupancy, kind of like in this building. We have here what looks like a 6-story building where the bottom 2 stories are occupied by a department store, while the remaining stories above are occupied by offices. So, based on what we've learned so far, that means that the bottom stories are D major occupancies, while the top stories are E major occupancies. Okay? I'll get in a moment to how I came up with this. Okay, I promise. So, what is the major occupancy of this multi-story building? And the problem is that it seems that there are 2 of them, right? There is D and E. Which one of the 2 apply? It turns out the Ontario Building Code is very clear about this. It specifically addresses this under sentence 3.1.2.1.2 in Division B of the Ontario Building Code. Please be sure to read this sentence yourselves, but basically what it says is that if a building has more than one major occupancy, then that building needs to be assessed and classified according to all major occupancies. So, you have to consider both the D and the E occupancy in this case to figure out what the effect is on the whole building. Okay? And then you would pick the most stringent conditions that you get by looking at it as a D building and as an E building. Let me show you how this would affect, say, the fire separations between these occupancies. I'm going to clean things up and maybe rearrange some items on the screen so that I may bring up sentence 3.1.3.11 under Division B, which then directs me to table 3.1.3.1. So check out that sentence, read it, it will direct you to this table. I'm going to reproduce part of this table on the screen for you right now. So be sure to find it yourself so you can follow along. And you can pause me, I'll be here when you get back. This table is labeled Major Occupancy Fire Separation, and this table kind of looks like the board of an old game called Battleship. So what that means is that you have two occupancies to look up, like the D and E occupancy for this example. So you find them on the table, okay? One of them is going to be in the column, the other one is going to be in the row, and then you look up where these two occupancies meet. And what you get then is the fire rating of the separation between those two occupancies, kind of like what you see on the screen right now. In this case, you see right here that they meet at something labeled N/A. Before we discuss the details of what this means, I want to explain to you how to interpret everything in this table in general. So let me make it all appear on the screen right now. Okay, that's the table itself. The bottommost row shows you the number for each column. This is an identifier number that helps you specifically address a specific column by simply using that number. Column number 1 through 14. So the content of this table is in columns 2 to columns 14. Within these columns, you'll either find a number like 1, 2, or 3, or N/A, like right here. N/A stands for not applicable, while the numbers 1, 2, and 3 refer to the number of hours for the fire separation, for the fire resistance rating of the separation between these two occupancies. So it could be the fire resistance rating for a wall or a floor or something similar. It is, in essence, this number of hours here, it is a measure of time relating to how slowly that separation must burn under specific conditions. If you see an N/A, again, that means not applicable, and the inference from that is that these two occupancies that I've given you NA, they do not require a fire separation, or that the fire separation is 0. The other thing I want you to look at for this table is at the bottom of the table. That is the notes numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are referenced inside the table, and they show up next to a number as a little exponent. You can see an example right here. Okay, so these little numbers, exponents, okay, that you see, for example, right there, they refer to the notes below the table. So whenever you obtain a fire rating with one of these little numbers next to them in brackets, it means you have to read the note below the table that corresponds to that. And then you have to find out whether or not this note is applicable. For this course only, we're not going to use these notes. We're not going to use them. We can disregard them. But in real life, we would. Now, back to our example. We found that the D and the E occupancies give us a fire resistance rating of not applicable. So, not applicable means that you don't have to come up with a fire resistance rating. Okay? It's 0. And that is our final answer, with table 3.1.3.1 in division B as the correct building code reference. Are you wondering what this whole thing about fire resistance ratings is about? Don't worry, that's okay. And that's because we're actually going to cover fire resistance ratings in another topic called Topic 7. For now, think of it as a measure of time about how quickly something will burn in a building to allow people to get out safely. Okay? Whether it's a wall, a floor, a roof, a door, or something similar. Okay, now you are ready to do question 2 from homework 1. Okay, So you're welcome to try that out. Folks, this means we're done with this topic, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to view this with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you get a chance to review the next topic, which is topic 3, part 3 versus part 9 buildings, where I'm going to show you a very simple way to narrow down exactly where to start looking for information when you're analyzing a building. I mean, both these volumes, they're 2,000 pages long. Where do you start when you're given a building? Find out with the next volume. Take care, everyone, and be well.